You know that feeling, right? You've just sent out a huge email campaign, and you're watching the open rates, and they just tank. It's a horrible feeling. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on why that happens. We're talking about a critical but kind of invisible asset for any business, your email sender reputation.
And this quote right here from a review on AppSumo, it just nails the nightmare scenario. You spend all this time, all this money, crafting the perfect message, you hit send, and poof. It just vanishes into the spam folder, never to be seen. And the #1 culprit is almost always a damaged sender reputation, usually because of something as simple as a dirty email list.
So, that leads us to the big question. What even is a sender reputation? It sounds so abstract, doesn't it? But trust me, it's a very real, very technical score that literally decides if you land in the inbox or the junk pile. So let's break down what it is, why it's so fragile, and most importantly, how you can actually take control of it.
But before we get into all the technical weeds, let's talk about the money, because that's where the pain really hits you first. Keeping an email list clean enough to protect your reputation, well, it isn't free. And the traditional way of doing it can feel like a constant drain on your bank account.
See, for years, the only real model for these kinds of tools has been a recurring subscription. You pay every single month. But lately, a different model has been shaking things up, and it changes the entire equation. The lifetime deal, or LTD. The numbers here really tell the whole story.
So take a popular service, something like hunter.io. A pretty typical plan is going to run you about $99 a month, every month. That's over $1,000 a year just for the privilege of keeping your email list clean.
Now, check this out. Contrast that with a lifetime deal for a tool like Reoon Email Verifier. That costs $79, one time. The economic pressure here is just immense, right? You've got this problem that can cost you over $1,000 a year to solve, or you can solve it once for good. And that is the financial reality that makes this whole conversation so important.
Okay, so why is this even a problem to begin with? Why is email so easy for spammers to abuse? And why do we need these expensive tools in the first place? Well, to get that, we need to zoom way out and look at the very foundation of how email was built. It's kind of like email's original sin.
And to really get it, we have to go straight to the source, the authority on these things, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST. You dig into their documents and you find the fundamental flaw that we're all still dealing with today.
And this sentence right here, this is the aha moment. It's wild. When the main email protocol, SMTP, was created way back in the early 80s, the internet was just this small community of researchers who all knew and trusted each other. They didn't build security into it because, honestly, they didn't think they'd ever need it.
And you can draw a direct line from that decision. That total lack of security back in 1982 led straight to the explosion of spam and phishing that we all remember from the 90s and 2000s. The entire security framework we rely on today is basically just a massive, decades-long patch trying to fix that one original mistake.
So, how did we patch it? Well, we had to create a system of trust completely from scratch. The best way to think about it is like a digital passport for every single email you send. And it's built on 3 key technical pillars. Let's break them down.
First up, you've got SPF, the Sender Policy Framework. The easiest way to think about this is like your official public return address. As the owner of a domain, you create a public record that basically says, hey world, only emails sent from these specific computer IP addresses are actually from me. It's a clear line in the sand. If it comes from anywhere else, you should be suspicious.
So the next pillar, DKIM, builds on top of that. If SPF validates the sender's server, DKIM validates the message itself. Imagine it like a cryptographic, tamper-proof wax seal on an old-school envelope. It's proof that the email, the content inside, hasn't been altered one bit since it left your server.
Okay, but what happens if an email fails one of those checks? What if the return address is wrong or the seal is broken? That's where the final pillar, DMARC, comes in. This is basically your set of standing instructions to all the world's email servers. It says, if you get a fake email pretending to be from me, here's what I want you to do. Either reject it or quarantine it. And crucially, it also tells them to send you a report about it.
And here's the master plan, straight from NIST. This diagram shows how it all works together. You see, SPF checks the sender's IP address. DKIM signs the message to make sure it's legit. And DMARC sets the policy for what to do with fakes. Together, they create this interlocking web of trust that turns email from this insecure, old protocol into a verifiable modern communication channel.
Okay, so that was the high-level theory.
But how does all this connect back to the practical tools we were talking about at the start, like that Reoon email verifier? Let's connect the dots between those big threats that NIST identified and the features that actually solve them.
This table really lays it all out. The big threats that keep the folks at NIST up at night, spoofing, phishing, spam, are precisely what a modern email verifier is built to fight. For example, it can detect spam traps. These are basically fake email addresses set up to catch spammers. If you send an email to one of those, it's a huge red flag to email providers. The tool also weeds out disposable, temporary addresses, and other risky emails that can wreck your reputation.
So, how well does this stuff actually work in practice? Well, according to the hands-on tests from the review we looked at, a tool like this can hit 98% accuracy in flagging known bad emails and spam traps. That's the real-world impact. You can scrub your list with near-perfect precision before you ever hit send.
And that brings us full circle, right back to the money. Because managing this technical asset, your sender reputation, has a very real, tangible financial value. It's not just about getting into the inbox, it's about doing it in a way that doesn't break the bank.
So let's look at that cost comparison again, but with more detail. A recurring service might cost you almost a whole cent for every email you verify, but a lifetime deal, because you get so many credits up front, can bring that cost all the way down to fractions of a penny. Over a year, you're talking about saving over $1,000, all while getting the same or maybe even better results.
I mean, this chart just says it all, right? When you actually visualize the cost per credit, it's not even a fair fight. One bar is a skyscraper and the other is barely even visible on the ground. It's a fundamentally different economic equation for managing a core part of your business.
So who is this really a game changer for? Well, anyone dealing with email at scale. We're talking marketing agencies juggling a bunch of client lists, SaaS founders who are trying to protect their brand new domain's reputation, or really any email marketer who just wants to slash a major recurring expense from their budget for good.
So if you remember one thing from all this, let it be this. Your sender reputation isn't some vague, fluffy marketing metric. It's a hard, technical asset. It is built on that solid foundation of authentication, SPF, DKIM, and DMARC, and it's something you can, and absolutely should, directly control and protect. And that really just leaves us with one final question. When you think about it, paying a monthly subscription for verification is kind of like renting the health of your email program. A lifetime solution, that's about ownership. So given that your sender reputation is one of your most critical digital assets, are you content to just rent it, or are you ready to own it?